tonight we're going to improvise. So I have our beef stroganoff, and instead of making the classic beef stroganoff, I'm going to show you guys how to make a beef stroganoff lasagna, because lasagna noodles is what I had in my cupboard. Okay, so you guys know that I love to save time in the kitchen, so I've already gone ahead and done the first few steps, but I'm going to tell you guys exactly what that is. So basically you're going to make it just as the package says, just without your egg noodles. So I took the seasoning that was in here and I combined it with a 1 3/4 cup of hot water, and then you need to set that aside just so that everything can rehydrate and get all of the flavors going. And then I heated a pan with 2 tablespoons of oil, and I browned our ground beef here that you guys can see, and then I took that out of the pan and I added 2 cups of mushrooms back into the pan, and I browned those up as well, so that's ready to go. So once you guys do that, then we're ready for the next steps, which is what I'm going to show you guys right now. So I'm just going to turn my pan back on. Also, you're going to want to preheat your oven for 400 degrees. It doesn't need to cook very long because I usually cook everything in advance, so all it needs to do is just heat up and get all of the flavors mixed in. So we've got our mushrooms, our 2 cups of brown mushrooms in the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and add that that 1 3/4 cup of seasonings with hot water that I was talking about earlier. We're going to add that into the pan, just like that. It looks amazing and it smells amazing, and I can't wait. And then we're going to toss back in our ground beef. And you guys can use strips of beef for this. You don't have to use ground beef. You could even improvise if you don't have ground beef or any beef. Use ground turkey, ground chicken, anything that you guys have in your fridge. Again, Epicure is so awesome because you can literally use anything that you have. You can improvise. So this is what I am doing tonight. Okay, so we're just going to turn that up. So we're going to let this boil. And then once it boils, it will be ready to go. So now that that's done, I've already gone ahead and cooked up our lasagna noodles, so I'll pull those out right now. Now you guys can use oven ready lasagna noodles, which is fine, but again, I try to speed things up a little bit, so I already boiled these so that it's not going to take very long in the oven. So while we wait for that to get going, I'm just going to take our multi-purpose steamer here, which is heat safe in our oven up to 425 degrees, and it can also be used in our microwave. It's dishwasher safe. It's 100% food grade silicone, so these are awesome for any type of meal that you guys are making. We do have the round one, but for this type of like casserole or lasagna, I do prefer to use the multi-purpose. So I've got that here, and I'm just going to layer this. I did cut these lasagna noodles in half, as you guys can see, because the full-size ones do not fit in the steamer. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to actually pick up the camera here so you guys can better. So that's all I did. Just 4 cut in half pieces, so 2 full-length pieces cut in half, and just layer it into your steamer there. And just make sure you guys can see. Okay, so now this is just starting to boil here, which is great. It'll start to thicken up a little bit. But you can already smell all of the flavors coming together, which is why it's super important to throw the seasoning pack in that cup of hot water while you are prepping the rest of your food, so that it takes a lot less time for everything to rehydrate. Okay, so while that's going, I'm going to grab the one thing I really need to invest in is Epicure's wok, because none of my lids actually fit my pans. So I'm going to improvise and use a smaller lid. And we're just going to let that simmer for a couple of minutes. And then what we're going to do is take a cup of sour cream. Now, if you guys don't like sour cream, that's okay. You can use Greek yogurt if you're trying to find a healthier alternative. Greek yogurt works perfect. I do like the sour cream just because it's a little bit smoother in flavor, so I always opt for sour cream when it says use Greek yogurt. And then you're going to use Worcestershire sauce or Worcestershire. I'm still not quite sure how to say it, even though I've heard it said before. But then we're gonna add in a tablespoon of that, and then we will be good to go. Okay, I'm just gonna check this here and see how it's coming. This was not a good idea with the smaller lid. Just gonna get rid of the lid. That did not go over well. But luckily, I do have some half price rewards left over from a party that I did for myself last month, or 2 months ago. So I will definitely be using that to get a walk because I need something different. Okay, so it's thickened up nicely. I'll just take this over and show you guys. I know that this is not a very good size. My husband is supposed to be making me a roll-out island so that this will be a little bit easier. But there you go. You guys can see it's already starting to thicken, which is great. Okay, so now that we've done that, back, just move some of this out of the way. Yes. Yeah, it is what it is. Okay. I think we're about ready now. So we're just going to take our cup of sour cream and we're going to add this in. This is going to give it that nice creamy flavor that you guys are used to with beef stroganoff. But the nice thing is it's not going to have all of that added sodium. I don't know if you guys know like the Hamburger Helper brands and stuff. The sodium in those are insane. So because our products are low sodium and sugar conscious, you guys may want to add a little bit of salt to this. But when I was browning my beef, I added some Epicure sea salt and red garlic, so that should help take care of that. Okay, just gonna mix that in. Sit for a second, and I'm going to add in a tablespoon of our sauce. We'll just call it sauce tonight because that's easier. Okay, so now we've got our beef, our mushrooms, we've got our seasoning in there, we've got our sour cream, we've got our sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and it's thickening up great. So now what we're going to do is take our multi-purpose steamer that we had put the noodles in earlier, and I am going to add, hope you guys can see, it's not the best setup. Okay. Now I'm just going to turn the stove off and I'm going to just layer it like you normally would a lasagna. So I've got about, you don't want it too thick because you want to make sure you have a good even amount of noodles and sauce. So there's about 3.5–4 scoops in there, which is perfect. Flip it over again so you guys can see real quick. So that's just our first layer there. And then normally what I would do is I would add in some cottage cheese because it adds a really nice flavor. Unfortunately, before I started this video, I went to check my cottage cheese and it has gone sour. So we are not using cottage cheese tonight. But again, guys, you can improvise and use what you want. So now I'm just going to take some cheese and sprinkle it on. Again, I don't generally measure this type of stuff, but I will show you guys kind of what we're looking at. You just want to coat the top of it. Not too much because you're going to do a few layers of cheese, so you don't want it to be insanely cheesy. So that's our cheese layer. And then we're just going to go back and continue to layer it until it is built and done. And if your noodles break, don't get upset about it. No one's going to know. It's on the inside. Okay, so we're just going to layer again. Again, guys, these noodles I cut in half. So we're using about 2 full sheets, just cut in half for 4 pieces all together. So I've got my noodles in. I'm going to add another layer, and you guys can see that it's like still thickening as it sits in the pan, which is amazing. And you know what, if you guys don't like mushrooms, because I know not everybody does, you can add whatever you want here. You don't have to use mushrooms. If you guys want to add some red pepper in, you can. Some onion, which I usually do, but I didn't think of tonight. Okay, so we've got another layer of that, and we're going to do another layer of cheese. And you guys can use any cheese. Tonight I am using mozzarella because that is what I have. But the one cheese that I do really like with this is old. I love those bitter flavor cheeses mixed in with the sweeter sauces. but this will work for tonight. So we got another layer of cheese. I'm gonna do another layer of noodles. You guys just basically keep on building until everything is gone, or until you get to the top of the steamer. So I might add just one of these guys. There. And this might just be our last layer. And the nice thing too is that when you guys are making lasagna, any sort of lasagna, if you have leftovers, you can freeze them. Put them in the fridge, use them for a different dish. It's perfect. Okay, so we've got our last layer of beef stroganoff. I'm gonna add just another touch of cheese. Yes, there's a lot of cheese that goes into this. But again, if you guys don't like cheese, you can add in something else. And if you guys want to go for a lighter version, instead of using lasagna noodles, you can use eggplant. I love slicing eggplant and using eggplant for lasagna, or also zucchini is delicious. You guys can also use our beef stroganoff and do a spaghetti squash and then top it with that. That is really good. I love that. My husband is not a big veggie person though, so usually I do noodles, and then if I'm feeling like a veggie option, I will do one on the side for myself. Okay, so that's that there. Now we're just gonna do a little egg wash on top. Now the egg wash, guys, helps prevent the noodles from burning in the oven. So just give me one. Again, tonight is all about improvising, so I didn't have everything all set up, but that's okay. Welcome to my crazy kitchen. So we're just putting one egg in a bowl here, and I'm just going to mix that up. Now, if you guys are egg-free, you do not have to use an egg wash. But because we are cooking this at 400 degrees, you guys are going to want an alternative or something, just so that the edge of the noodles don't burn. I'm just going to throw, just going to coat. I've just got a little brush, and I'm just coating the noodles with the egg wash, and then I will save these leftover eggs for omelet small. Okay. So now that we've got our noodles coated, I'm just going to add one last layer of cheese. Yes, there's a lot of cheese that goes into lasagna. That's also why I like to add like cottage cheese, because then you have to use a little bit less cheese, and you get that creamier texture. So just enough to like barely coat the noodles. Unless you love cheese, then go ahead and add whatever you guys want, how much. Okay, so I'm just going to show you guys this reel. So just like that, our lasagna is done. Now if you guys are doing this with your oven ready noodles and you do not cook them in advance, you don't have to cook it as high as I'm cooking it, and you will want to at that point put the steamer lid on when you put it in the oven, just so that all the steam stays in the container and helps to cook all those noodles up. But again, because I went ahead and cooked mine in advance to make this super fast and easy, I'm just going to throw it in like this and leave it in for half an hour, and then our beef stroganoff lasagna will be done. And anyways guys, I am so excited about all the promos this month. I'm going to let our beef stroganoff lasagna cook, and then I will be back to post some pictures. Thank you guys so much, and have a good night.